Hello there! Okay, today we move on to the last of the Necron elite choices. We've had the Pariahs, which can dual role, they can both shoot and assault, and they're quite good at that, but they're not Necrons, and they're kind of expensive. Then we had the Immortals, or was it the other way around? I can't remember. Immortals are purely for shooting, and they're good at that. Okay? And now we have the Flayed ones. They are purely for melee, and they're not bad. They're not as good as almost every other melee unit, but well, they're okay. Let's go through them. 18 points per model. They are the same points cost as Warriors, but they have a squad size of 4 to 10, which I suppose is okay because they're metal models, so you're not going to be getting like large packs of them. They come in like packs of 2, which is annoying. If Games Workshop ever decides to remake the Necron Codex, and I hope they do, and I hope they do it very well, with the same author, Andy Chambers and Pete Haynes, and Graham McNeil and Phil Kelly and Andy Hoare, whatever his name is. Seriously, 5 guys worked on this codex. But anyway, I hope that they get put into a proper box set. Gargoyles got redone so that you got in a big box of them, and now they're like kind of awesome and a lot cheaper in points, like half the points, which is good. Well, now that's what needs to be done with Flayed ones. Probably not the same size of box set. Like you get 10 gargoyles now. You only need about 5 Flayed ones if you keep the relative things the same. But yeah, that should be done. Another thing, their stat line needs to be boosted up. Flayed ones have the same stat line as a basic Space Marine if you were given a bolt pistol and combat weapon. Apart from like leadership 10. But other than that, they're exactly the same. They're 18 points. You do get a few more rules though. You get move through cover, which is useful. And you get infiltrate, which is very useful, because it means you can outflank, or just regularly normally infiltrate. Normally infiltrate is probably a lot more useful than outflanking, because outflanking is very unreliable, and you're not always going to get behind the cover that you so desperately need before going in and attacking something. They have the option to be given disruption fields for the entire squad at plus 3 points. That'll make them 21 points per model. Disruption fields are essentially the Gorse special rule, but for close combat against vehicles. Anything with an armor value can be instantly glanced on a penetration roll of a 6. It can be useful if you don't have a Lord with a war scythe. A Lord with a war scythe is a lot better. Charge a Lord in, he has 4 attacks on the charge, all from a war scythe, which add 2d6 to his strength for armor penetration. So essentially you've got a base strength 4 monstrous creature charging in to assault a tank. These guys are just strength 4. They don't get extra dice. You can just glance extra stuff if you pay the points. Which it's okay. But they're not really useful for that, unless you join them to something else like the Lord, and he only needs them if he needs to allocate wounds or something. So, yeah, there's that. Also, they get deep striking. You should never deep strike them, because deep striking a purely assault unit does not work. Unless you've got like multiple wounds, or a high toughness value, or you're like a Terminator, or something, then you can't really do much at all. If you have somehow mastered the art of deep striking into, but not onto cover, so that's you're behind cover and you're getting the cover save, but you're not deep striking onto it, so you have to roll a mishap table, then you can actually use the deep striking rule with them. Otherwise, it's essentially useless, because you can't assault. Which is annoying. I would like to see them get fleet. I would, because it would be a lot more useful. Okay, what else? They also get the Terrifying Visage rule, which is their defining rule, and is probably the most useful one. Terrifying Visage basically means that anything in assault with them, not just when something assaults them, but anything whilst in assault with them, so it's a recurring thing, has to pass leadership, or if they fail it, they have to revert to only using 6s as successful hits. So you can't hit unless you roll a 6. Basically simple. It doesn't affect fearless units or things that are automatically assumed to pass the morale tests. Whatever. So like things in synapse range. Basically anything that's fearless. You get what I mean. It's not really that useful on its own. You have to use other things with it. For example, if you use Flayed ones and Pariahs, you use the 12-inch range Soulless rule of the Pariahs, which imparts a 7 leadership value to everything with a model within 12 inches. So then you can charge in your Flayed ones. If you've got a squad of 10, then you can charge them in for 30 attacks on the charge. At strength 4, that's not too bad. Especially when you consider that your enemy can only attack on 6s, provided they fail their leadership test on a leadership value of 7. If you then attach a Lord to this squad of Flayed ones, and give him a Gaze of Flame, which adds a -1 leadership penalty to anything in combat with him, then that makes the enemy leadership 6, which is very effective. And it's a very good combo. But it takes a lot of time, and it's very situational. It's not always going to happen. When Games Workshop eventually redo the Necrons, I would like to see this unit get a lot more attention. They don't work as well at the moment. For a proper combat squad, you need to have some defining feature, either a better weapon skill or a better initiative than just the regular troop. The regular troop has a gun. These guys don't. So you need something to help set you apart. Something that's been mentioned quite a lot on the Necron forum, that's the Catan support group. Just Google Catan support group and you should find it. And that the thing that's been mentioned a lot is rending for these guys. And also for Wraiths. Wraiths don't have rending, and they also don't have the option for disruption fields. You do have disruption fields, but they're not quite as good. Rending is a lot better. I'd like to see them get rending. That would be awesome. Sure, you could bump up the price a bit, or maybe just get rid of Deep Strike or something. But whatever. They'd still be kinda awesome if you're given that. Make him a lot like Gene Stealers, probably. But with the Necron special rule. Which would be awesome.